Welcome to Shorts Beyond Measure, where fashion, interiors, and psychology get the stylish, savvy, and slightly therapeutic touch.
We're Tara West, Caroline Baltz, and Allison Goldberg, a fashion stylist and two interior designers who are also trained as psychotherapists.
So let's get into what's trending, what's tired, and what's actually worth your time. Because good style and good decisions should never be short-lived.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Caroline. You had a rough morning, huh?
Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. Who goes out to their car ready to go? I'm like leaving at 8:30. So I get here 10 minutes before. Blah, 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 blah. It takes me 20 minutes. And I can't open my garage door. Like code 4-2 is showing up on the thing. And I'm like, what the? And I know how to pull it and make it go manually, but it was stuck. It was like seized up. Like Billy and I both couldn't even like lift it and wouldn't budge an inch. So I'm like,
what if there was an emergency? I feel like
I know.
that's not safe.
It's not safe.
I too had like a rough morning.
You did?
Well, my air conditioner broke, so we need a new compressor. It's whatever, 1,000,000 degrees out, so it's like 90 degrees in the house, which is fine. You know, the first floor works, so I slept on the couch, but showering and trying to get ready, like putting makeup on and like having it melt off your face, and then I'm driving here and totally zoning out, missed the exit, like had to turn around going back towards, Boston. So now I'm in traffic.
Yeah.
I mean, when your morning starts off like that, the rest of the day is going to be fabulous because you already dealt with the shit.
That's
right?
a good reframe.
I
Tara.
like that. I like that.
Spoken like a true therapist.
And only go up from here.
Only up when the shit hits the fan in the morning. I'd be happy because I'm screwed later. What's going to happen to me?
Oh my gosh.
All right, Caroline, what are we talking about today?
So we were talking about the pause, and I was reading my news feed this weekend, and people are bringing back the landline. And I was like, what? They're bringing back the phone that's attached to the wall because phones, our iPhones, our cell phones are so 24/7 that there's no pause from the phone because we have all these excuses as to why we need it. What if there's an emergency? I can't call 911 if I don't. No, get a landline, have boundaries, have a pause, sit down with your family at dinner. The phones go away. If somebody needs us, there's a phone. It's like, it's so crazy.
The only thing with the landline is you get a lot of solicitors.
Yeah, no,
A lot
that's
of
the worst.
solicitors. But let's talk about the pause for a minute because I always say to my kids, don't be a quick responder. So, and I practice this as well. So if I get a text and maybe it requires some thought or a large emotion, you should maybe sit with that emotion and don't be quick to respond. Also, people don't need you to respond right away. It's okay.
I was reading something that's said like your emotional response is actually only like 90 seconds. And then everything else is a reaction to your thoughts about that emotional response. So if you can pause and kind of bring yourself back down, you might not have that same, crazy reaction that we can all have.
And then the good thing about that too is when you react, let's just say you regret the reaction, then the issue becomes the way you reacted and not the actual issue at hand. So if Caroline texted me something and I got upset about it and I responded in a way that I regretted later, or maybe it wasn't the way I would have wanted to because it was an emotional response, now we're dealing with what I said to you and not actually what you brought up the problem to be.
Right.
I think that's called gaslighting.
Is it? I don't
Yeah,
think
when
it's
you focus on the person's response rather than the actual issue.
But in life, like think about in your relationship with your husband or a friend or something, or let's talk about our relationships with our husband. When we have an issue, I am very careful with the way I respond because I used to be very hot-headed. I know you can't believe that. And so I would then, the issue would be like my emotional state when I would, like that would become our problem, really, to be honest with you.
I think that's where we're at now. My response is like,
But your
are
frontal,
you fucking serious?
and your frontal cortex takes over,
Yeah.
right? Like when you're in that fight or flight, when you're in that intense emotion, you got to bring it down before you're like, it can be rational. How do I want to respond?
Exactly. And I think the pause is a huge benefit to everybody involved. It's a benefit to you because then you don't act out the way that you might regret, which sucks. It sucks to feel that way.
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of? I don't know if this book was out when you old fogies had kids, but when I first had Drew, one of the parenting books that I read was called Bringing Up Bébé. I don't know. How do you say that in French?
Bebe.
Bébé? Bébé? Not the brand BB.
Yeah.
But anyways.
I love.
I know, me too. But anyways, it does talk a lot about the pause. When you're a new mom, you have a lot of anxiety and your kid starts crying or they need help with something. And we automatically like jump right in because our emotions are heightened as well. And it really talked about, if your baby starts crying and they're safe, they're in their crib, give it a pause, see if they can work it out on their own. And it really changed my whole trajectory of parenting. And I can see like going forward in our careers, like Caroline and I had a client and at the very beginning, and we had a little disagreement. And instead of pausing and thinking about it, we reacted more emotionally. And
We had a disagreement?
No, with our client.
Oh, okay.
We don't have disagreements. We're pure love, baby.
Yeah.
But I think if we had paused and became less defensive, that we probably could have worked it out in a different way, because then she was offended at our response.
I appreciate that because I think that that's how you grow as a business person too. And I think that everybody says, don't let emotions get involved with business. And when it's your baby and it's your reputation, it's sometimes hard to not get emotional. I have.
Yep.
And sometimes people will be like, wow, she cared. Like, why, Tara, I've heard it. Tara's like a pit bull when it comes to our business. Well, because it's mine.
Yeah.
But I have reacted before, maybe in a way I haven't wanted to, or I regret, or I wouldn't do it again.
Right. Yeah. Just kind of bring it down a notch. How do I want to respond? I don't need to respond right now. Like take a beat.
Yeah. It changes everything.
It does. That's how actually I knew I needed to go on hormone replacement therapy. Because this jeweler, I got so upset with her over jewelry.
What happened? I want to hear the story.
I don't really remember. It was like, I know. She wanted me to post something and I did, but I didn't do it the way she wanted, although I told her exactly the way I was going to do it. And I was like so pissed. And then I said to myself, Tara, it's jewelry. Like, you got to go to the doctor.
I don't know. The diamonds involved. You don't pause. You fucking react.
But it is hard not to get emotional when it is your business. And I think that it's unfair when people say don't have an emotional response. I think it's hard. Do you guys?
I think it's hard, but I think there's room to have an emotional response in a way that benefits both parties. You can still feel the emotion, but the response doesn't have to be so reactive.
Totally. It doesn't have to be so emotional. And that's where the pause is really important.
And I could bring it to like our design world, like concretizing it in that one of my pet peeves when I walk into a room is if there's a piece of furniture like right there as you walk in. Like I want to absorb the room. I want to have a little space. Like think about an entry hall, or like my office is really small, but I used to have like a piece of furniture that was kind of like right there when you entered, and I moved it out of the way. And like you pause when you enter a room, then you can absorb the space, even if it's small. It gives you like subliminal messages of like there's space here.
That's like quiet luxury. Like you don't need to be screaming Chanel head to toe.
Right.
Like wear one piece and then let the others breathe.
I actually think it's really embarrassing when people are like completely branded.
Me too.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's unnecessary, but it's the same thing. It's like it's okay to have like one showpiece. But I like what you're saying about the not have a piece of furniture right there. It's like you almost want to walk in and then experience it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Or like we do oversized mudrooms all the time because it used to be people walked into your front door. Now they don't. And so if you walk in and there's a bevy of shoes and baseball bats and backpacks and blah, 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 like, and that's it, and there's no other sort of like space to like kind of breathe, it feels cramped, and it's like you get an emotional reaction. Like my shoulders get up to my ears and I know I'm like feeling a certain way in a space. So like our mudrooms, if we have the opportunity, we'll take space from other rooms. We'll, reconfigure them so that it is really luxurious.
I love that. I get that feeling. Exactly what you're saying. When I walk into people's mudrooms and it's a smaller space but overflowing, you are almost like, whoa, I can't breathe almost.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Dave,
Okay.
do you feel like you have to pause when working with us a lot?
It's kind of just one long pause from the moment you get in here.
Just holding your breath.
Yeah.
I agree with you, though, that it's this is as a society, we've lost our ability to pause and we've lost our ability for nuance. So we're always on and we're always either in or out on debates. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
it's so
you're this
black
or
and
you're
white.
so black and white. Yeah. Everyone needs to chill.
I agree.
Chill out, people.
Let's end on that note.
I
Let's
know,
all
I like
chill.
that. That was deep, Dave. Well done.
All right.
No.
Well,
That's
if
what
you
I'm here
guys if you guys have any questions or you want us to cover any topics, let us know. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
That's it for this week's shortlist. Thanks for listening.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, share it, leave a review, or let us know what's on your short list.
Shorts beyond measure, because the most important things in life can't be quantified.